Innovators, leaders, headliner. Join us as we meet the people behind the weather headline. Jaime Rhome has devoted decades of public service forecasting to the National Hurricane Center. He shares his passion for improving storm surge forecasts and how they will help communities prepare well in advance of potentially destructive impacts. Let's talk about your journey as a meteorologist that brought you to the National Hurricane Center and what you're doing in your career. What's that journey been like for you?
Oh, it started like most meteorologists as a kid growing up. Weather fascinated me, and a couple high impact weather events, drove me into weather forecasting. Um, I started my career early on with the Environmental Protection Agency, but quickly shifted to the National Weather Service, and I've spent the entirety of my career at National Weather Service here at the Hurricane Center.
Tell us a little bit about the changes with the storm surge forecast that has come out this year.
Yeah, we actually got a pretty big update this season. It's already implemented, so it's ready to go for the first storm of the season. Our probabilistic storm surge modeling system, which we've been using for well over a decade, gets a pretty big upgrade. The most notable being we're expanding the coverage of that modeling system to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. That was previously not in place because the physics of how water moves in and around those islands was different than how it works here in the continental United States. But the continental United States is also getting an upgrade. We're upgrading the overland friction, or the friction that land exerts as water tries to move across it, to improve our forecast of how far inland the storm surge could penetrate in a hurricane.
That sounds like a small thing, but it's a huge issue and one that you've been working on for years at the National Hurricane Center. So tell us about the background to come out and be able to make changes like talking about the friction and that's impact on the storm surge.
So we've probably been working on the code itself, meaning the computers that run the modeling, for 3 years, but it's been under discussion and planning for probably 5 years. It really takes that long to queue up an upgrade of this significance, because it has to be robust, meaning in addition to getting the science just right, we have to go back and run it retrospectively for dozens and dozens of cases to ensure that it's going to perform as expected under all circumstances. These science achievements are fabulous in the laboratory, but they need to stand up to real world systems and deliver the same reliability that the people have come accustomed to with our forecast.
Our consumers, the people who are getting information from us and from you, what does this really mean to somebody who possibly lives near the shore or close to the ocean?
Our forecast will be more accurate. With these upgrades, we think we can deliver greater lead time, meaning we can provide um, more time in advance of a hurricane to give out the forecasts that are necessary to take precautions. The greater the time, the lead time is really, really important, because if you haven't noticed, a lot of people are moving to the coastline all over the country, but especially here in Florida. And what that means is it takes a community or a town longer to prepare for and react to a hurricane which is threatening them. So our ability to push out the lead time on our forecasts is increasingly urgent as these coastal communities bloom in their population.
In recent years, we're getting so much more data from you, from the National Hurricane Center. We're getting hazards besides just a forecast for winds. We're getting the storm surge that we were talking about. We're getting a lot more, to me, it's usable data that will help people make decisions. And it requires, it's an army of scientists working together to make that happen.
Yeah, we're really trying to equip the media professionals such as yourself with greater tools so that they can build out their presentation to viewers in a specific way, versus relying on generic products like the infamous cone. We're starting to pump out more and more hazard information to our partners.
Just because you're not in the cone has nothing to do with the risks that might go out for hundreds, if not even thousands of miles.
Yeah, a lot of people, everybody wants an easy button when it comes to hurricanes, and hurricanes are complicated. It's just the way it is. So a lot of people view themselves in or out of the cone as their determine it to get ready, put up shutters, evacuate, what have you. And that's really quite wrong. The cone tells you nothing about the hazards that come with the storm or how far the hazards will extend away from the center. It was developed, a couple decades ago as a way to convey where the center of the storm was likely to go. It really served its purpose for about 10 to 15 years, but we've noticed that people are trying to overuse it and extract too much information out of it. In fact, some people, that's the only thing they look at, which is really a shame. So we're shifting to these more risk-based products, probabilistic hazard forecasting. But a lot of people are still clinging to the cone because that's what they're comfortable with. That's what they're familiar with.
One of my favorite things about being a forecaster is I love the great puzzle that forecasting the weather and what's going to happen in the atmosphere. The puzzle is something that just really, really gets me going. What's your favorite thing about forecasting the weather?
Oh, I love trying to piece it all together too. You've got so many pieces of information to look at. A lot of people think it's just looking at models, and that model's over there, that model's over here, but it's much more sophisticated than that, and it really does require stitching together, piecing together a lot of different information.
And I also love just the power of nature. Every time when I look at a hurricane, which to me is like a perfect storm, it's both beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
It is, and unfortunately, I have to focus on the more terrifying component of it.
That's right, which is why we always want to respect what Mother Nature is doing. Jaime Rhome, Deputy Director of the National Hurricane Center, thank you so much for joining us and letting us get to know you just a little bit better. We wish you all the luck in the coming hurricane season, and I imagine we will be talking to you on and off throughout the year.